A guten Erev Shabbos and a gut Yom Tov, my dear friends. The Shabbos Vayishlach is Yud Tes Kislev. It is the Rosh Hashanah for Chassidus. It is the day, the Chag HaGeula, the liberation of the Alter Rebbe from the Tsarist prison, after risking his life literally to teach us the deepest teachings of the Torah, the Chassidus. And make sure to light the Shabbos candles, 411 here in Brooklyn. Don't forget to put on tefillin. And of course, have in mind our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land who are fighting this difficult war. May Hashem protect them all. And I want to talk about today about the big impact of the small vessels. We read in this week's Torah portion about Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu is crossing the river with his entire family. And then he goes back. And the Torah says, Vayivaser Yaakov levadoi. Yaakov was left alone. And why did he cross? Why did he go back? The Gemara tells us that he forgot small vessels. So the Gemara tells us that the tzaddikim, the righteous people, chaviv aleim amoinam yosem megufam, their money is more beloved to them, more treasured, more than the body. What does that mean? You see, the Baal Shem Tov tells us, why do the tzaddikim value their money more than the body? Because they look at their possession. Every part of their possession is not by coincidence. They look at the spiritual, godly sparks that is in their possession and that they have a mission to do something good with what they have. The pachem ktanim, the small vessels, is something that is considered of less value because the greatest levels of godly sparks goes down into the lowest places. Yaakov Avinu goes back to the river because he wants to elevate even the smallest, the most insignificant things, because it's not insignificant. On the contrary, in the lowest levels, you have the greatest godliness. That's what Yaakov Avinu realized. This is why the Medrash says, Vayivase Yaakov levado. Yaakov was left alone, just like the verse says, Ki nizgav Hashem levado, that Hashem is elevated alone. We see the similarity in the words, because in order to elevate these lowest levels, you need to have this greatest power of Hashem. Today, we live in a generation where spiritually it seems like we're on a very low level. But yet, our sages tell us Moshe Rabbeinu was jealous of our generation. Why? Because he realized the greatness of the neshamas that we have today. And we see it also among the soldiers, among the Jews in general, in Eretz Israel, especially now, when through these difficult times, the heroic stories that comes out, both in fighting the war and also in the spiritual awakening. There is a commander by the name Noam Ramati. He's a religious Jew. And he was standing with his unit last week, guarding in the Gaza, in Gaza, and they were watching all day long. They were standing in a fence, watching in a certain position. And all day long, they had to stand there, not to move away from the place. And the entire day, he couldn't put on tefillin. The soldiers looked at him, and they felt so bad. The tefillin was just a few yards away, but he couldn't get away. And the entire day, this is risk. They have to protect lives. That's more important. So the all day passed, and he didn't put on tefillin. And guess what happened the next morning? The next morning, each and every soldier of that unit said, we are going to put on tefillin today because of you. We see the ability of bringing out the neshama comes out in the time of darkness. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is teaching us. He revealed the teaching of the Chassidus to whom? To people in our generation. so that we should be able to connect to Hashem, learning these deepest teachings of the Torah and awakening the deepest levels of our neshama, because Hasidus talks directly to the soul. The soul senses the godliness. Try it. So let's, this Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah for Hasidus, commit ourselves to get stronger, to commit ourselves to learning the Tanya, learning the Hasidus, and bringing this not only to ourselves, but also to our friends, to our fellow Jews, and may we very soon see the light of Hashem, with the coming of Mashiach very soon. Amen. Have a good Shabbos.